Okay, so I'm coming back with part 3 of the video, part 3 in this video log series, and this is about uh, police not even speaking up and defending their own interest. You know, and what I'm talking about is police retirements, police pensions, and so forth. So I used the example of the veteran out in Wyoming filing a lawsuit because he says the police officer violated his rights and so forth. Then you have an example of a bankrupt city, Stockton, that filed for bankruptcy. This is the same city where the police officer was crying because he has a brain tumor and he's going to die if the city council out there cuts his pension. But one of the former retired police chiefs gets $204,000 a year. Yeah. So that just goes to show, if you're one of the higher ups, you get paid really well and your pension doesn't get cut. So Detroit, this here's an article from The Guardian. Read this article for yourself. Detroit decision to fend off bankruptcy. Pay pensions or pay the banks? Well, it's quite obvious who they're going to pay with that situation. They're going to pay the banks because they decide the banks are going to get like 75 cents on the dollar while the retired city workers are going to get 16 cents on the dollar. That is a fact. That's not my opinion. You can go research it for yourself. You can go look at the Detroit city documents and so forth. Then you have cries of betrayal as Detroit plans to cut pensions. People, and many of these people, like this woman here, 73-year-old city worker, she was like a librarian for years and years and years. She's crying because she lost her pension. All right. I'm going to go back to the article I had before. I had made some written notes on it. And so then I pondered the question, why don't more police officers speak up? Why don't they speak up? Why don't they speak up even for their own self-interest? I mean, it's to their benefit to speak up and say, are you funding my pension correctly? You know, all this stuff. Why don't they speak up? You know, they have the courage to go kick in your door, you know, for some uneducated drug dealer. They go kick in his door and treat him real badly and roughly, but they won't go and try to speak to their own higher-ups about their own retirements. So there was a case in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. It was Mr. Jordan versus New London Police. He was suing the police department because the police department would not hire him because he was too smart. Let me say that again. The police department would not hire him because he was too smart. And I was further along in the article. It was saying the IQ of most police is 104. And it made a note that said just a little above average. Well, yeah, that does fall right along the what you would expect. You know, most police officers are products of the public school system, and the public school education has been lowering the IQs of people for a long, long time. And so it's just sad. You know what I'm saying? It's like you know. It's sad, like the fact that I'm able to understand all this. That's why I do have some sympathy for the police, because they're not even smart enough to understand that what they're doing is to their own detriment. I mean, I mean, if you read as much case law as I do, it's like you're living in like a Alice in Wonderland, you know, like when they were going down the rabbit hole, you know? I'll give you another example. On the state level, now that I think about it, the state of Illinois has the worst unfunded pension liability in the nation. It was like, what, 42 cents on the dollar. You know, there was a piece on CBS, I think it was 60 Minutes, a long time ago, maybe you know, in reference for me, a long time is like more than 2 years ago. Because most of all the events I talk about are within like the last 24 months or recent. Most of the time, the events I'm talking about took place within the last 6 months or less. But this piece for like 50 minutes, I want to say was like maybe, I want to say maybe 4 years ago, somewhere in that time frame. But it was about unfunded pension liabilities in Illinois. How the state troopers out there could not, or the state police out there, they couldn't use the state-issued credit cards. They had to pay cash because the gas station owners wouldn't accept the payments from the state of Illinois. You know, the state of Illinois is not making payments to adults with disabilities. I mean, all you have to do is do a YouTube search, like unfunded pension liabilities, or Detroit bankruptcy, or Stockton bankruptcy. Do a YouTube search, and you can watch the videos for yourself if you don't want to go and read like the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents on this. And I would point this out. You know, you do have many police that do fall for the big lie, like I said before, and they honestly think that they can live. You honestly think you can live up to the ideas of the society or what the schools teach you. You know, the American dream. You know, what is a dream really? You know, a synonym for a dream would be an illusion. You know, because you wake up from a dream and it's not real. You know, but you know, sadly for a lot of people, you know, they're waking up and coming into reality is when they're senior citizens, like these elderly retirees from Detroit to Stockton, California to Central Falls, Rhode Island. All these retirees are just they're getting a very rude wake-up call from the brainwashing they've had all their lives. And unfortunately, many of these retirees are in their mid-60s, 70s, sometimes in their 80s, and they can't go and get no other job. So, like the lady said, I'm going to have to eat cat food. So, but, you know, the propaganda, the brainwashing that they've been subjected to all their lives is just very, very powerful. And, you know, the people that are running the show, you know, most times the lawyers, they are absolutely despicable for what they've done to, you know, many of the lesser educated people. You know, they're despicable for taking advantage of them, telling them these blatant lies. You know, I just find it outrageous. You know, and everything I talk about, I always tell people, go read it for yourself. Go watch it for yourself. That's my big thing. You know, everything I'm talking about, go and verify it for yourself. Go and watch the videos for yourself. You know. Yeah, I mean, I just gave my 2 cents on, you know, police retirements, police, you know, their mindset. And let me bring up something real quick before the video cuts off. You know, I was talking about earlier how the police disassociate themselves from the citizens that they purport to serve. Out in California, they have the officers on trial in Fullerton, California, for beating a homeless man to death, Kelly Thomas, and his dad was a former deputy out there in Orange County. So things have come full circle in the context that the police are beating and killing their own. You know what I'm talking about? This father, he says, I'm a father first, and he's outraged out there. You know? And so it's like the snake is eating its tail, you know? And it's just sad, you know, like the police have become so oppressive, so, like, full of corruption, misconduct, tyranny, that they're abusing themselves now. There's a police officer suing in San Francisco for his fellow officers beating him up. Read it for yourself. All right. I'm going to cut off and read it for yourself.